The incident at yesterday's commemoration ceremony marking the anniversary of Vukovar's fall to enemy forces in 1991 is still making headlines today. To recall, the event was overshadowed by political confrontations and manipulation, and for the first time the memorial procession was divided into two lines, with the procession led by the group calling itself the headquarters for the defense of Croatian Vukovar, at one point blocking the way of the other procession that included most of the state's top leadership. Speaking in last night's main news program on Croatian television, President Ivo Josipovic leveled very harsh criticisms at the leaders of the Vukovar group and the leading parliamentary opposition party, the Croatian Democratic Union. Josipovic said they exploited the Vukovar commemoration to promote their political views and to accomplish what they cannot manage to do in elections. The president stressed that what happened yesterday was a slight against Vukovar, Croatia, and expressions of sympathy for the fallen and remembrance of their sacrifices. Yesterday's unfortunate events also took up some time in this morning's deliberations on the floor of the Croatian parliament, with representatives of the governing coalition and the main opposition parties taking turns placing the blame at each other's feet. Milorad Pupovac, a Serbian minority representative, called on all MPs to stand and pay their respects to Vukovar's victims, with the solemnity and decorum largely missing from yesterday's commemoration. And the commemorations in the Vukovar area continue today with the marking of the 22nd anniversary of the massacre of civilians and wounded in the Vukovar suburb of Borovo Naselje in 1991. These people were rounded up by Yugoslav army personnel and Serb irregulars a day after the city's fall. The memorial procession moved down the streets of the settlement to a local church. Employees at the Zagreb airport announced that they will launch a strike on Thursday. They claim that the airport's management and affiliated companies are not complying with the provisions of Croatia's labor legislation and their branch collective agreement. The airport employees also expressed dissatisfaction with the actions of the relevant governmental ministry, the government in general, and the French company that holds a concession for the airport. The airport's management stated that there are no valid grounds for a strike. In the ongoing trial of former Prime Minister and former chairman of the Croatian Democratic Union, Ivo Sanader, on a raft of corruption charges, his wife Mirjana did not appear in court today, although she was scheduled to testify as to whether she had witnessed her husband receiving funds to be used for illicit purposes. Sanader's attorneys explained that Mrs. Sanader, a university archaeology professor, is currently outside of the country attending an international scholarly conference. The judge nevertheless decided to fine her for her failure to come to the hearing. In sports, after the first match in the additional playoff to qualify for next year's World Cup in Brazil ended in a 0-0 draw in Reykjavik last Friday, it is do or die for the Croatian national football team as they face Iceland in Zagreb this evening in the return match. The Croatian players are optimistic, but the Iceland team is especially motivated by the historical opportunity to qualify for their first World Cup tournament. And finally, the weather forecast for the rest of the day. As the day continues, skies in the country will remain overcast, accompanied by occasional rainfall, especially on the Adriatic coast and adjacent regions, where stronger thunder showers can be expected. The easternmost regions will see the least precipitation and may even have brief periods of sunshine. Winds will be mostly light northeasterly and southeasterly inland, with strong and even gale-force Scirocco winds hitting the coast, especially part of the central and southern coastline. Winds will abate on the northern Adriatic by the end of the day. The sea will be choppy, and waves reaching up to 4 meters high are expected on the open seas. Today's temperatures will range from 6 to 12 degrees Celsius inland and from 13 to 18 degrees down the coast.